This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We have 4 games here on the DraftKings main slate starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time with the late night hammer beginning at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So good to you all on the West Coast. Leaving work, got some basketball games kicking off, for Grande and I. Bedtime games for us here tonight. That's a lot. We'll be recording our preview show around the same time these games are going on here. But it's kind of a loaded slate in terms of sort of like top end talent here, despite it being just 4 games. We got the birthday narrative from LeBron. I know you're a big narrative guy here, Grande. I'm sure you're all in on the belief there. Straight Cash Homie says he's all about the Ugo slander. Yeah, we'll talk some Celtics here for sure.
Just a few.
Just
3.
maybe one individual.
Max 3. I will not allow. After we get to a third, I'm cutting the show off at 3.
Okay.
So take that wisely because Jaylen Brown's small forward. So think about it before we get there, John. Okay.
How many am I allowed to talk about? So
because if we get to small forward and we've talked 3, I will not allow any more.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Jeff Powell's in here saying, let's get it. Or good evening. Jeff LeBeau says, let's get it. We got Life says, what it do? Straight Cash Homie. We talked about that. Holy smokes. And Pharaoh, John James. Appreciate you all tuning in with us each and every day here, guys. Appreciate Keith stepping in for me yesterday.
Oh, absolutely killed it. You look at the numbers on the show. Oh my God. The people love Keith.
People love Keith.
Dude, every time Keith shows up, I go look at the numbers. I'm like,
I love Keith.
The Keith, I know, I love Keith. I look at I'm like, the Keith effect happened again. Like,
absolutely. People know, we don't even advertise. It's just like they get the bat signal, they hear his Twitter handle get tagged, and they're just like, oh, it's on, right? So
it's not the guy with the glasses anymore. It's
not the guy, right? It's not the guy with the glasses interrupting everybody. Our guy Ricky, what's up? Happy to have you in the chat with us, man. Dave also popping in, saying hola. All righty. As it is, it's 4 games. Could be a quicker show. It's all depending on how quickly we get through this and how long I delay talking about the slate as you guys trickle in through here. Slate high total for today, Grande. Celtics at the highest implied team total on the board. A little over 125 is what I'm looking at, man.
Monster.
Maybe we'll be talking more Celtics in 3. I don't know. Luka, 12K, K10-5. They're your top 2 price players on the slate. They also face off against one another here.
Yep.
So, do you have a lean? Are you playing? Are you spending up? Is Luka your number 1 for today? Or do you like Cunningham at 10-5, Maxey at 96, Harden at 91, top 4 there?
So, typical slate, I would just answer this pretty simply. Like, Luka, no Austin Reeves, or Hachimura, I would say him.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that today. I actually think James Harden is my number 1 point guard of the day. Obviously price consideration and matchup consideration. I think Harden's number 1, $9,100. He's back up to full capacity after the little bit of a calf scare, right? 40, 39, 35, 41 minutes in the victories that they've had. He has kind of played the Robin role with what Kawhi has done. But like, you look at the numbers for for Harden, without Zubats, Beal, and Bogdanovich this year. Harden's a 31% usage player, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. And John Collins is also questionable, and that usage from 31 up to 34, the fantasy points per minute, 1.2 up to 1.3 if Collins sits with his illness. So I think Harden's number 1. I would probably get to Cade next. And again, this is no slight at the others. And we'll talk. Maxey's hard to talk about. You can always play him, but we don't know what Joel Embiid status. That kind of matters right now. I think Cade is really interesting. when you're looking at the Lakers Pistons matchup, Cade definitively has the easier matchup and is $1,500 cheaper. Obviously we haven't seen like league leading scoring upside from Cade Cunningham like we have from Luka, but they both are triple double threats nightly. You can't really hold last game against him. He was just in massive foul trouble. He had 4 first half fouls. He had 3 in the first quarter. It was a nightmare, but the Lakers are terrible defensively, bottom in the league. He's too big for Marcus. Like Marcus Smart's a good defender, but he is a big boy. I mean, Cade's 6'7" at point guard, right? So I think Cade would be second. Cade and Luka and Maxey are all similar. Like they're all super high ceiling tournament plays. I think Trill just said Embiid plays. I mean, yeah, I'm assuming he's in, but like he is one of like the 3 players still questionable on slate. So that's how they have him listed. That's how, I'm assuming he's in until he's not, basically, which is why I don't have Maxey higher. So yeah, I think Harden's 1, Cade's 2, Luka 3, Maxey 4, but they're obviously all ceiling type players. Like it's, I think Harden is my number 1 point guard pretty definitively.
Okay. Yeah, again, the numbers obviously bear that out. It's a great matchup, and the price per dollar obviously makes a lot of sense. Where does John Morant figure for you here tonight? Played 27 minutes last time out. We talked about the price tag at $7,300. Greg in chat asked for some player props. I just had all of our pick'em articles published, so there's some props in there, including a John Morant point prop for tonight. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? I mean, like I'm good with Ja in tournaments. It's harder to get to in single entry and cash because we just don't know what the minutes are going to be. I talked about it the other day, but he was pacing in the Milwaukee game for about 28 minutes. They blew him out, didn't play the final 3, almost 3 minutes. Plays 27 against Washington, and he closed, he had 5 points in the final like 20 seconds of that game, or else it would have been an absolute disaster outing fantasy-wise. After a monster first half, like he was so good in the first half, basically did nothing in the second half. Super high fantasy output, even like clearly having a down year, clearly just been dealing with injuries left and right. But no Zach Edey, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Vince Williams Jr. tonight. Without those players, in a decent sample, 33% usage, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. It's just not that the matchup matters all that much. Philly has like been drastically improving defensively this year as the season's gone on. It's like really just like if Ja gets us 30 plus minutes, then like there's a massive ceiling. And if he doesn't, he has to be really first off, his teammates have to be really efficient scoring.
I was gonna say he's giving you 2 double-doubles playing 25 minutes in the last 4 games. So it's absolutely a ceiling there.
Yeah, absolutely a ceiling. You just like you look at it and like compare it to like, and I don't think Peyton Pritchard is like he's not the same player as Ja, obviously. Like they're very different. But like I'm much more confident in Pritchard's minutes. Like there might be a 8-minute difference between the two, 10-minute difference between these 2 players tonight. And one of them has a team implied total of 125 points and is playing the 29th ranked defense, who also has overthrown the Pelicans for most threes per game allowed this year. So like there's a reason why Ja's ownership is where it is. And then like for a little cheaper, Peyton Pritchard's getting the ownership, right? So like, I think Ja's great in tournaments. But Peyton Pritchard is cheaper. That's a direction I'd go in a lot of those like a lot of my lineups. Big news of the day is Keontae George illness. It's funny, John, I was looking for some research notes. Okay. I was looking to see like if there's anything on Keontae George. I found a tweet of mine. Okay. From 2024. So last year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and find it again. I found a tweet. Keontae George last year with an illness didn't go through shoot around, played 6 minutes, left the game, didn't return. There's been no reports about shoot around today.
Mm-hmm.
I just found it interesting that we're dealing with an illness in Keontae George again, and I'm like looking for Keontae George news, and I stumble upon that tweet. Just a thought, but yeah, I'd be okay with getting to Keontae if he does play. He's obviously been
very good,
very, very good this year. Didn't want to just skip past him, but yeah, the Ja for sure in tournaments. Peyton Pritchard definitely safe in all formats.
Okay. Value here. Obviously, again, the Utah news would change where the value would go. Is there a go-to value spot for you?
I guess it depends on what. Let's save everything here for shooting guard, because I think point guard is very top heavy, and I don't feel the same way about shooting guard. The only thing I'd mention is what you said, like Collier and Clayton would be two of the better values if Keontae George were to be ruled out. Unfortunately, we'll only have one game played, and it's going to be the lowest owned game of the day. Like Philly, Memphis is going to, unless Embiid gets ruled out. But as of right now, it's the lowest owned game of the day. So let's save the rest for shooting guard. I don't really like anything else.
All right. Well, shooting guard, your top price shooting guard is just Derek White at $7,400. So speaking of value, all of these guys have dual positional eligibility, point guard, shooting guard. There's a ton of value at shooting guard that can be played here. That's a Grayson Allen injury news. That's not what we're looking for. All right. Talk to me about shooting guard here.
I love Derek White.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't want to say like, I'll say per dollar, probably my favorite Celtic play of the night.
Okay.
I think a little bit more than Jalen. Not that I hate this. I mean, Jalen might score 50 tonight. Like, it wouldn't be the least surprising thing of the night. I think it really has to do with Utah's inability to defend the 3-point line. Like, this is a tailor-made spot for the Celtics. Team who shoots more threes than every other team versus team that allows more makes than any other team. Derek White shoots over 9 threes per game and is almost.
We lost him. See if he comes back.
Well, making 3.
There you go. It was a you thing. You lagged out on me here. Yeah. You're back. Yeah. You're a little delayed.
I know.
You're back.
I felt it.
I think you're
good.
Good.
Delayed?
No, we're good. We're okay now, I think.
Okay. Seems like we're simpatico here. Hopefully the guy in the glasses.
If not, I'll just start getting yelled at if we're not. So
true. That's true.
In the room, though, you and I are currently okay.
Okay. Well, let us know if we're now out of sync. Sorry if we are. That was my fault. Hand up. Can't, start talking about Derek White. Got too excited.
Sure.
I don't know what you heard me say, but he's averaging
with 9 threes or something like that.
Yeah, he's averaging over 9 attempts per game, almost 3.5 makes per game. And as we said, like, he's going up against the team allowing the most threes in the NBA, the team that ranks 29th in defense, and a team that ranks 4th in pace. There is like almost nothing that leads me to believe Derek White misses shots, because it's anything but Derek White missing shots tonight. Like, he's going to get a lot of open looks. He's in a fast-paced environment, and I think there's like literally like ceiling type 3-point volume makes for Derek White. Like, ladder his threes if you're on a sports book or betting somewhere. One of my favorite plays of the day is Derek White overall. I think the rest of the shooting guard position is literally just value.
I mean, it's just value. If you look at the ownership, Sensabaugh is getting like 50%. He's $4,400. Ricky says it's Jaden Ivey season. Possibly, without LeVert getting more minutes after playing 29 minutes, 28 minutes the other day. Might as well have played 90 comparatively to what he was playing. So, a whole bunch of minutes there for him. I can't mention a Celtic here because then it would burn our Celtic limit. But exactly where we might be looking to go there.
The microwave.
Yeah, you might be looking.
There's a microwave score down here.
Potentially. Where else are you looking to go with your value plays at shooting guard?
Now you can. It's okay. We can take the limit off. It's a good spot. I Okay, so I think there's a couple names we'll talk about. We'll talk Ivy first.
Okay.
Because he is the person that everyone wants to play. I definitely think that there's opportunity for Jaden Ivey to be extended, but I definitely don't think that it's a given. There's been no reason up until this point to think the minutes would be secure. Like, there's no carousel vert. Obviously, that matters here. There was also like a lot of weird things that happened with Detroit last game. Tobias Harris only played 22 minutes, barely played in the fourth quarter. Asar Thompson only played 23 minutes, didn't play in the fourth quarter. Jaden Ivey played 17 consecutive minutes. It's basically more minutes than he's played in any other game this year. And he did it consecutively, which tells you a couple things. One, he's capable of it.
Yep.
And it's obviously within the range of outcome, but it's not a given, like we thought that was possible, like wheels up the last time he played 20 and then he never played. He like didn't even sniff 20 again. So like Duncan Robinson didn't play the fourth quarter last game, John, 26 minutes. Duncan Robinson comes out and hits 4 threes early. Well, that's big impact to Jaden Ivey because like Jaden Ivey played a couple minutes in the end of the first half because Cade had massive foul trouble, played the whole fourth quarter because Duncan Robinson didn't play at all. Neither did Tobias Harris. If any of those two players play well, there's no guarantee that Jaden Ivey is extended. So like I am understanding why the field is getting here. There's a lot of like really good plays, 9K in like the 9K range that people want to spend on.
And it being a small slate, you just kind of
slate.
Live by the bullet there. If he does have and if he goes back to playing 15 minutes, but gives you 15, 16 fantasy points, you're almost still okay with that because that's what he's been giving you. He's been a really good fantasy point per minute player. Just went on the floor. So it's not as if there's a low floor necessarily with him. He gets out there and he scores.
Yeah, he's definitely been good. I would just say like there obviously you can pivot, right?
Yeah.
He's a 40% rostered player that whether the LeVert news, like LeVert being out, doesn't impact his starting role at all. It's they have had the same starting five all year long. I guess in theory they could bench Duncan Robinson, but I don't know if they want to do that with the spacing. Ivy's been good shooting threes, but we'll see. The other guys I'd mention here, Marcus Smart, the Marcus Smart experience, right? He's going to start.
Yep.
He has a super high ceiling if he makes all of his shots. He has a super low floor if he misses all of them. I'll mention Sensabaugh at small forward. I mean, he's getting a lot of ownership. He's going to start.
Yeah.
I think Simons would be the preferred guy for me over Ugo. Like Ugo's role fluctuates too much for me to get there, while Simons, I think, like we know there's going to be teens or low 20s minutes. And while he's out there, he is just asked to play offense. Like, dude, give me minutes and give me offense against a team that just doesn't play defense, right? It's a tailor-made spot for Anthony Simons. He's not going to do much else. Like if he misses a few shots, you're in trouble. Like if he doesn't score, like you're in trouble, especially if you're pivoting off of Ivy to play Simons. But doing stuff like that on a 4-game slate could be fruitful. Like if Simons gives you 25 fantasy points and Ivy gives you 15 at basically the same price, well, you're in the driver's seat with Anthony Simons. So I think Simons is a pivot off of Ivy. And that's really it. Like you could do the Walter Clayton thing. Obviously, he'll be extreme. Walter Clayton's ownership will go through the roof, whether he starts or not, because we've seen him and Collier basically play all the time. So, that would probably be like the other alternate options here at shooting guard. Of course, Duncan is here as well. He'll play mid-20s minutes and can make some shots.
Okay. Any thoughts on like Chris Dunn, who's down here, is getting like 10% for something?
No, I mean, he's probably, if you were to like look at this range, he's probably as safe as anyone in terms of minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd almost say I'd almost bet most players under him to score more fantasy points. He's been fine lately, but not a lot there.
Small forward then. Up at the very top here, obviously Kawhi Leonard is 95. You have Jaylen Brown at $9,400. Brown and Leonard are kind of neck and neck in terms of ownership. Currently, Kawhi's edging him a little bit there. Do you have a preference of the two?
That's like almost an impossible question. I said to you on the pre-show, I might just end up playing the lower rostered one.
Yep.
And right now that's Jaylen Brown. So if that's how it holds, that just might be what it is. Like,
Sure.
Look, Kawhi Leonard is coming off the game that he had, right? 55 actual, 90 fantasy points. He's had 54 fantasy points on DraftKings in 4 straight. The Kings are an awful defense. Without the players that are on the floor, Ivica Zubac's included, 36% usage, 1.6 fantasy points per minute. If John Collins is out, he has a 40% usage. I mean, how do you ignore that? But Jaylen Brown has put up 45 plus DraftKings points in 13 of his last 14 games. And in that streak, he had the 30-point game. He didn't play 20. He had triple-doubled. So out of 14 games that Jaylen Brown's played, 13 have been 45 plus DraftKings points. He's had 30 points in all of them. And the one game he triple doubles. Like, he has been unbelievable. 36% usage, 1.3 fantasy points per minute, elite spot. You could play them both. You could play one. You could play, you want to just take the ownership discount and play Brown if it holds. If it flips and you want to play Kawhi because Jaylen's the more popular option, you could do that as well. But there's not a wrong answer. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if both guys had 55, 60 fantasy points tonight, considering the matchups that they're both in.
Yeah, agreed. Work our way down the list. There's DDR, there's Grimes, and it kind of jump down into like the 5K range. Again, Sensabaugh is getting a ton of ownership at $4,400 here today. How are you kind of breaking down everybody else essentially?
Yeah, we'll just answer to Prince's question real quick. No Karis LeVert, and he played a season high 29 minutes last game. That's basically it. Under 4K, good matchup. They assume he's going to get extended. So, yeah. Jake, I like LeBron over Kawhi. I mean, that means you're just a narrative person because I don't think there's a logical statistical reason you'd play Kawhi or play LeBron over Kawhi or Brown, personally. But that's just a narrative thing. It's just because he's his birthday. But it's a
little cheaper, I guess, if you're looking for money wise. But I mean, the numbers would bear out. You'd rather the other two.
There's look. Shout out to LeBron and his greatness.
Yeah.
There's no statistical backing of that. Like Jaylen Brown has a 36% usage on the year. Kawhi Leonard has a 36% usage without Zubats and is over 1.6 fantasy points per minute. B-Day power up. I figured it was like a narrative thing. I do like DeRozan in the mid tier. I think it's virtually impossible to play a lot of Kings tonight with Keegan Murray active. Not that Keegan Murray like soaks up a lot of usage, but he plays a lot of minutes. So I think DeRozan's okay. With Keegan Murray, he's a 25% usage player, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. I largely think you're right. Like Sensabaugh here makes a lot of sense. No Ace Bailey likely going to start. It is Will Hardy in Utah. So there's no like definitive, like Will Hardy could do anything and it wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
I suspect Sensabaugh would start. Like that's how it's going to project. And I agree with it, but there's no guaranteeing it. But 4,400 shooting guard, small forward at like a pretty bad value tier. I agree with the field. Like as long as he's starting, it's something that I'm going to get to quite a bit at $4,400. There's like not really anything else. We just had Coach Chris, shout out to Coach Chris, the GOAT, talk about Nick Clifford. Like, it hurt. All the stuff that we could have like played is kind of dust and kind of wrapped up now that Keegan Murray's playing. Like, is Nick Clifford in the rotation? Probably. Yeah, he's played well. How many minutes does he play now with Keegan Murray? Like, that hurts quite a bit. I mean, they play the same position. So,
the only other ownership play is Ron Holland right now is over 30%. So
yeah, the Ron Holland one is interesting. He was extended in the last game that Karis LeVert missed, but like it was like 6 games into Ivy's season and he played like 14 minutes. So like it's hard to sit here and say Ron Holland's definitively like the guy who gets extended. I mean, he's like a decent fantasy player. It's a good matchup. If Ron Holland's last piece in, I'm okay with it. But I think like it's hard to imagine. I mean, Ron Holland's 34%, John. Do you know how much overlap people have with Ron Holland and Jaden Ivey today?
I was saying, like, that's a very low floor outcome potentially.
Dude, they run like LeVert's out. They'll probably just like plug Paul Reed in the line or give more.
No, they don't play B-ball, Paul. We know that.
No, don't never say never, John. They are playing 11 to 12 guys a night. Like they want, Marcus Sasser, come on down tonight, right? Like I'm just saying, like that's a lot of ownership. If I am talking about like Holland and Ivy, like max one of those two players, because like unless one of them magically enter the starting lineup tonight, which doesn't seem to be likely, they've run the same starting lineup every game this year, and they have the best record in the East. I would just be surprised if a winning lineup has both those players. Even just like cashing lineups, like I feel like it's going to be really hard to cash with both those players in your lineup.
Sure. Power forward again, LBJ $9,000, Laurie, Triple J at 77, Santi Aldama and Keegan Murray round out the 7K tier.
Before we do that, we'll answer. A lot of people hate LeBron clearly in chat. LeBron is a diva. I mean, whatever. LeBron is dust. He's 41 in the NBA. That's pretty hard to do. And then Schnabes, I want to talk Schnabes. Any leads on if George sits? They have not. There's been no reporting on Keontae. It's just he's sick.
But it would obviously be Collier. Be Collier or Walter Clayton would be the two,
And the only thing I'd say, like, there was the line opened at 7.5 and it's been bet to 8.5. I don't know, like if there was any lean, I feel like there would be pretty significant movement there. Like if Keontae George doesn't play, I can't imagine Boston aren't 10-point favorites or more, right? Like that's how good Keontae's been. So yeah, nothing concrete on the Utah front with Keontae. Sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's cool.
Power forward, right? That's what we're asking.
Yeah, top guy, top 4 or 5 at power forward. You have obviously LeBron's 9K, and then you have a bunch of guys at 7K range.
LeBron, I mean, like, I'm not saying I wouldn't, if I'm multi-entering, have shares of LeBron. I'm just not. You're just like statistically, there's nothing that you can say that he's better than Jalen or Kawhi tonight. Mm-hmm. The reason you'd play him is because he's slightly cheaper and because he's significantly less owned, right? Like nobody. LeBron is the 3rd highest rostered Lakers power forward tonight, John. There's 2 other power forwards on the Lakers that are getting more ownership.
The value at the position obviously is holding some water here today.
Right. So like you can definitely play LeBron, but like don't also do it based on him his birthday. His birthday only makes it worse. He's 41 years old playing in the NBA. I think Lauri Markkanen is one of the most intriguing GPP plays of the day. His ownership has come up, and it's kind of pissing me off because it's been low all day. He hasn't been sub $8,000, John, since October 29th, which was the fourth game of the slate. That was the last time Lauri Markkanen has been under 8K. It was a game after he scored 51 actual. Now we're getting Lauri Markkanen coming off 72, 38, 44, 47 fantasy points, and his price is now below $8,000. Like, it's hard. Utah looks really good today. Yeah. Not that Boston's like bad defensively, because they're playing a lot of their like good defenders.
Yeah.
They have like a rotation of them that are good. And we know Larry's going to see Jordan Walsh, and we know he's going to see Ugo at some points. We know he's going to see Hauser. And I like Lowry with or without Keontae George. The numbers are just very good for him. Without Ace Bailey, Walker Kessler, Kevin Love, 28% usage, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. And again, sub 8K is just absolutely criminal. Jaren, I don't know if you're as pro Jaren as I am, but I am pro Jaren through and through. 6 of his last 7 games, he's had nearly 40 fantasy points, and I say nearly 39.8 is the one. 3 times in that span, he's gone over 50. Let's not forget, a couple years ago, this guy won a Defensive Player of the Year, and now in 5 of his last 7 games, he's had 3+ blocks. I don't think that's a coincidence. Like, he's unlocked something defensively. The scoring is up. He's really, really, the 3-point volume is up too, and the makes have followed. I think Jaren's great in tournaments. The one thing I would be scared of is if Embiid played, because we know what Embiid is looking to do, and it's get to the foul line. We know what Jaren's looking to do. It's looking to foul out. So I would prefer Embiid not to play to get to Jaren. But yeah, I think Lowry, Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson Jr. are definitely 2 elite tournament plays here in the mid tier.
All right. If no Embiid, does Paul George move up the ranks for you?
Yes, I currently don't have much interest in PG. Not that I dislike him, I'm kind of just indifferent. But if like everyone's in, Philly's just hard to get to in general. Like, you could play any of them in tournaments. They're just hard for me to sit here and prioritize over like other plays around the slate.
Understandable. We'll also be looking to go then as we hit the value. Obviously, there's ownership at the value. Gigi Jackson is getting over 25%. You mentioned other Lakers, Jake LaRavia, Jared Vanderbilt. Do you lean any of those plays over some of the higher price options?
I like LaRavia. Rui missed 2 games last week. LaRavia started each of them. He had 37 minutes in one of them. He had a double-double in that game. He's a 0.8 fantasy point per minute player, but he's had 40 fantasy point upside on multiple occasions this year. No Reeves and no Rui. Like, the minutes should be pretty secure for Jake LaRavia tonight. And I looked to make sure Vanderbilt was in those games. So it's not like, Vanderbilt's going to, now that he re-entered the rotation, going to steal minutes from LaRavia necessarily. So I think LaRavia looks pretty good. The Vanderbilt one's, he's playing 20 minutes a night. He's been shooting the ball a little better. That's what, he couldn't shoot earlier in the year, and he basically played himself out of the rotation because they need him to be a 3-and-D guy. It's like fine-ish to me. I do have interest in Gigi Jackson, though. Like, something you and I didn't talk about on the pre-show, and just kind of, I think both of us just kind of overlooked, was that KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, is out tonight.
Sure.
And I was mentioning the Landale, but no, I think KCP unlocks Gigi's minutes. I mean, we've kind of seen multiple ways Gigi's got minutes. They've limited Coward again since he returned from his 1 game absence. and they're down Vince Williams, they're down Edie, they're down KCP, they lost Brandon Clark. And as soon as they lost Clark and Williams, Gigi entered the rotation 20 plus minutes in 3 straight games. Now there's no KCP on top of that. Like, do I think we probably see more overlap with Cam Spencer and Ja? Yes. I also think Gigi Jackson is going to be extended, as well as we get a little super chat from Anthony.
Love that from Anthony. Appreciate
Sneaky value from my mighty Sixers. I don't think so, but what I would say is if Embiid is out, I would definitely take a look at a Dembona. That would be my sneaky value, because I think the small ball lineup that Memphis is likely going to play fits Bona way better than it fits Andre Drummond. He got played off the court against OKC. He was getting cooked by Chet. And, if they run the Aldama Jaren front court again, if Landale, or even if Landale plays, like, I think Bona would end up out playing Drummond. So that would be my answer. If Embiid's in, I'm sorry, no. I don't think, like, the cheapest I would probably play would be Dominic Barlow, but we saw, like, he's been really good for them, but he also has a very, very low floor. So if Embiid's in, the answer is Barlow. If Embiid's out, the answer is Bona for sneaky value. But I don't love the Sixers, truthfully, right now with Embiid, me slating Embiid basically in. And then Justin, our boy IC3, asked about Nick Clifford. I mean, we kind of talked about him. Like, he's going to be in the rotation. What I think ultimately happens is they've played Doug McDermott in back-to-back games. Doug McDermott's minutes are just fully gone. The problem for Neek is the Keegan Murray. I would assume, because it's a calf, like, Keegan Murray could be on some type of limit, but Keegan Murray played 33 minutes in his debut game, and then it was 37-44. Like, this is a guy that the Kings play a boatload of minutes, and I just think with Keegan Murray, with DeMar DeRozan in the forward room, it's hard for Neek to carve out like a massive role. So, like, if you're using it and you're looking at Neek and being like, I'm just looking for a way to not play Ron Holland, then it's fine. Or, like, I'd rather play Neek than Jared Vanderbilt. That's fine. Like, stuff like that. I think Gigi, I'd probably rank ahead of Neek Clifford pretty comfortably, and he's $200 cheaper.
The only other one we talked about on the show last night was Derek Jones. He's 38, kind of in the same price tag.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Jones, like, starting if we don't have John Collins. But coming off, like, the ACL injury or MCL, whatever it was, I don't know. It was a CL injury. I'd be a little skeptical. They might just take the safe route and play Batum if Collins is out. I will say, on the John Collins front, John, we didn't talk about him, and he's going to go essentially unowned either way. He has, like, a massive rebound rate increase without Ivica Zubac, which is something that we've talked about with John Collins. Like, for anyone that doesn't know, John Impemba, above me, is one of the GOAT live bettors in the NBA streets. And it mainly was like John Collins live rebound props in Utah, because he's a super elite rebounder that happens to play with Ivica Zubac every game.
Yeah, I think BK Sportsbook did, like, the end of year roundup or something like that last year. It was like your most bet, like, player was like John Collins. Like, I spent like 3 months live betting his rebound props. So
just throwing that out there, like, we know Brook Lopez is the worst rebound, like, arguably him and Miles Turner.
Okay, rebounding numbers though. Brook Lopez, they haven't been terrible. Good for him. Yeah.
Over the span of his career, he has been a subpar 7-foot rebounder.
Yeah, since he left Brooklyn the first time. Look, I don't think it's a coincidence Collins had
17 and 12 in one of the games Zubats missed, right? Just also just lobbing that out there. Don't have to, just throwing that out there.
Got a Luka Garza question.
Well, we're going to center.
We're going to center right now, so we'll get there for your slow play. All right. Talking of center, you mentioned Triple J already a power forward. You've gone on extensively about Joel Embiid. You have Jalen Duren at $7,500. Last night you said Yusuf Nurkic was like one of your favorite centers on the entire slate, one of your favorite players on the slate. Anything changing for you here when it comes to the big spot?
Dude, I told you his ownership was going to be where it is.
I know.
It's a very good play. Like, they're down K-Love, they're down Ace Bailey, and they're down Walker Kessler. Without those three players, he's a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy, 20% usage rate. He's an elite passer. He's a hub offensively. I did it. I broke it down in the playbook too today, John. You guys can find that right up at fantasyalarm.com. But I did, just because we're really just waiting Embiid and Keontae. Those are like the two like big news items we're looking for. So I did, if Keontae George were to sit, how do things look for Utah? Yusuf Nurkic is averaging, it's an 84-minute sample. No Ace Bailey, no K-Love, no Kessler, no Keontae George. 22% usage, 1.7 fantasy points per minute. That's with Keontae off the floor. Because everything is going to run through Nurkic. High post, passer, it just kind of is what it is. He is that like ilk of player. So yeah, this is not something I've really moved off throughout the day. I've been pretty consistent. I thought he was one of the best center plays of the day. I still think that right now. I like, just like we talked Embiid, like you could definitely get there if he plays. He'd probably be the most likely Sixer I would get to if he plays.
Sure.
Because the offense hasn't really dropped off at all. Jalen Duren is always a very interesting tournament play. It's a really good like matchup for the Pistons. He's playing pretty consistently 30 minutes in games that are, one, competitive, and two, he stays out of foul trouble in. And he's just had monster, when he gets these matchups against bad defenses, he just has like monster outputs, outside the Utah game. But again, yeah, he was just in massive foul trouble.
I think the over on his points tonight, I think it was like 16.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Felt good. Felt like a good spot. I mean, I know it's Ayton. It's not like the greatest defensive player. So
yeah, it's weird because the Lakers are bad defensively. They're 23rd defensively. They don't really allow a lot of points in the paint, but they're going to have a really hard time with the Cade Duren pick and roll stuff tonight. So I think Duren's a really interesting tournament play, like 50 fantasy point upside. If you're looking for like pivots off of Nurkic, because Nurkic is so significantly higher owned than everybody else. Yeah.
You like Maxime?
I don't dislike Maxime.
Okay.
I just like don't. Sacramento is just so hard to like want to play. I don't know. Like they're messing with minutes nightly. Like I know he played 35 against the Lakers, but he played 27 and 23 the games before. Then he was up to 37. Then he was 30, 37, 26. It's just it's a tough thing. Like he's been good per minute.
Sure.
They are getting healthier with Keegan Murray and Drew Eubanks back. So take that for what it's worth. Like you could play Ayton in the mid tier, Maxime. I think they both look pretty good in tournaments. Nemus is getting some ownership. We had the Luka Garza comment. To the Garza comment, it is interesting because if you look at the Luka Garza experience last game, it was just fouls.
Mm-hmm.
That was the entire night for Luka Garza. He just came on the floor and chose violence. And by violence, I mean just fouled.
He had to deal with Donovan Clingan. It was just like a big dude.
Big dude. Well, that's not exactly the best because Yusuf Nurkic is also a massive human being.
Sure.
Which is why Nemus is getting ownership. because it's like Nemes is also like a big dude.
Yep.
So,
it's the medulla rotation though. So like he played 11 minutes and had 5 fouls. Well, that could be enough for him not to play today.
Right. The foul trouble was like, I've seen enough. I can't play him for Amari Williams is your backup center tonight.
Like they go back small with Minot. They play Hugo, Jordan Walsh. Who knows? Like,
dude, it's totally true. And that's like, that's the scary part with like, it's what we talk about every slate with Boston, right? If you're playing anyone outside of Pritchard, White, Brown. I think we had a question actually, now that I think about it, John, from I think Rolly, longtime viewer earlier. He said, can you play the Celtics big three? He said it early in the show.
He did. Yeah.
Can you play them all in the same lineup? I'm fine with it. But I'd probably, if it's single entry, because I know Rolly's in the single entries. He plays he's in the single entry shoots with us every night. I would probably play max 2 in like single entry stuff. And like, if I'm playing large field tournaments, then yes, I think differentiating that way is fine. But like, if you play Jalen and Derek White, and let's say Jalen has his 35 and Derek White makes 6 threes tonight and has 25, what is the probability that Peyton Pritchard has 20 actual tonight? I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm just saying, like, what's the probability of that?
I would say the one thing with Peyton Pritchard is it doesn't matter which way the blowout is. He's the one that stays on the floor.
It's fair. It's fair. Totally
we've seen Peyton Pritchard get a lot of just like he's the man in a game. They're up 20 because White and Brown are on the bench.
He did in the Pacers game, I think. Yeah. I think he was on the floor. He played.
I'm telling you, he gets fast PP gets the blowout run.
Jalen and Derek White came out at the 5-minute mark, and Peyton Pritchard played from 7:42 to the end of the game.
Yeah, so like
it's true.
He could get his just when everybody else is got their sweats on.
But I'm just gonna say this, hand up, and you guys hear it from me all the time. I'm not predicting blowout anymore. I can't. We just saw last night Hawks with no anything, right?
Yeah.
And what they did.
Ian Wallace out here knocking down.
Well, and did you see the NAW half court heave with the left?
With the lefty, yeah.
Dude, and the follow through, I was like, oh my, that is so sick.
We have him currently over 30% is what we're looking at. So
yeah, he is 2x, not 2x. Brook Lopez, we haven't gotten to Brolo yet, but he is over 10% higher than Brolo.
Yeah.
So I think Brolo, by the way, very solid.
I like him today, yeah, too. Again, in 9 threes, not likely to happen, but like I said, the rebounding numbers for him are better than usual. Getting a lot of blocks, which is great, and if you can just add some scoring, it will be there. Famous time YouTube member Rob popping in with a basketball question. $3,700 and under is already playing GG, so we need another value play. 3,700 and under.
So this is when it gets like a little weird because like context definitely matters here. Rob, are you also playing Jaden Ivey here? My answer
Holland
would probably be Holland if you're not playing Jaden Ivey.
And if you're playing Jaden Ivey already and need under
we're probably rebuilding. Yeah, come in the Discord and rebuild.
Stars and Scrubby if you're already.
I think. Oh boy.
I mean, it'd be Walter Clayton if there's no.
You are already playing Jaden Ivey. Then I can't play. It would be Walter. It would be Walter Clayton. Yeah, it would be Walter Clayton.
Yeah, you're on very stars and scrubs if you're going all the way down. If you need 3 guys that are under 4K.
On the Clayton front too, like it's a different conversation. Like you're just plugging Walter. Yeah. You in the field are going to plug Walter Clayton because he's going to absorb a bunch of minutes regardless. But like another in and out of the rotation guy, 22, 9, 15, 17, 8. Those are those last 5 games minutes.
I thought we nailed him for this stretch. I'm like, dude, he's playing the full second. He's playing the full fourth. It's locked in. Like, we're good to go. And then all of a sudden, like, nope, rug pull.
Will Hardy not playing rookies, right? So, yeah, that I would say we need to probably rebuild. Svi is pretty bad because he's just not going to play a lot of minutes. I mean, he played 14 minutes the other day. They played Clayton. They played Cody Williams the whole second quarter. I'm not going to Svi. Keontae is still listed as questionable, SD.
Smith or Ivy?
That's a fine pivot. I lean Ivy, but it is a fine pivot. We kind of talked about it with Nick Smith the other day. Like, there's obviously minutes to be had. It was a little bit fluky because he didn't play a lot in the first half and close and blowout. You know, like, he played 2 shifts in the first half. It was 8 minutes total. So I feel a little better about Ivy.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's get a core build going here. We'll go Nurkic at center.
Yes, Nurkic at center.
We'll play the currently lower roster Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, play lower. Yeah.
All right, where do we go from here? You said Harden. Is Harden your plug?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, I also don't have a problem if you like wanted to do the Kawhi Brown route and just play them both, or if you wanted to play Harden. I just think point guard is a really good spend up position.
I was gonna say we run out of value here. I mean, we haven't done the value plays yet, right? So
yeah,
you know, if we did
Ivy Sensabaugh, and then we'll call it there.
Okay, Ivy Sensabaugh. All right. $5,600 power forward guard, a utility for the core play. Again, the slate doesn't lock until 8 o'clock. So there is so much time for news to come down. Teams haven't even sent out their official lineups yet. So bear with us. Get in the Discord. Check out the playbook for all the updates. We appreciate your support each and every day here, guys. Good luck tonight. And we'll be back with the preview show for the Wednesday slate. We have some day basketball tomorrow, Grande. That should be.
What did you just say?
Yeah, we have day basketball.
Oh, it's New Year's Eve, isn't it?
New Year's Eve. We got some day basketball tomorrow.
How many games are dead?
Like 4.
This is news to me.
I think we have 4 games tomorrow.
Oh, fun, dude. We'll be playing NBA slates while
1 p.m., 3 p.m., 3 p.m., and then we got 5 games from 7 later.
Oh, what a slate, dude. Love this. Absolutely love this.
Yep, agreed. All right, guys. Good luck then. We'll catch you later.